Think about the physical demands of a transcontinental flight. Now imagine undertaking that journey in a body weighing less than a standard U.S. nickel. The fiery Rufous hummingbird executes a sweeping 3,000-mile migration from Alaska down to Mexico. Notice this geographic bottleneck. Utah sits precisely in the middle, offering a sudden topographical oasis between arid deserts and towering peaks. This extreme endurance flight introduces a severe biological problem. A hummingbird's metabolism runs so high that it requires constant, high-calorie refueling. Guided by the shifting length of daylight and the blooming cycles of specific flowers, these birds must eat constantly, or they will die in transit. As North America's smallest bird, the Calliope functions as the world's smallest long-distance migrant. For these microscopic travelers, Utah operates as a mandatory life-or-death refueling hub. The state provides the exact ecological conditions necessary to make this entire continental superhighway function. The timeline begins in March and April. As the days lengthen and the first spring blooms appear, the vanguard of the migration arrives in the state. With millions of birds pouring in, competition for limited nectar becomes intense. To survive, the arriving populations immediately divide the state's varied geography among themselves. The black-chinned hummingbird is the state's most common species, specifically targeting the lower elevations. They claim the lowland valleys, settling near open water sources and human-planted gardens, carving out a specific niche away from the harsh, high-altitude terrain above them. By splitting up the map, the birds turn Utah's extreme elevation changes into a stacked, multi-level sanctuary. Every distinct altitude layer serves the precise biological needs of a different species. Moving up the geographic ladder, the environment shifts drastically. The high mountain forests and alpine meadows offer an entirely different catalog of blooming resources. Here, the broad-tailed hummingbird dominates. You can often identify them before you even see them, as the males produce a loud, distinct whistling sound with their wings while patrolling the high mountain forests. The tiny Calliope also bypasses the valleys, ascending directly into these high elevation zones to feed among the mountain pines and meadows. Between May and August, the state hits its biological peak. The majority of the hummingbird species are actively breeding and hyperfeeding, maximizing every available calorie before the weather turns. This is when the Rufous hummingbird makes its presence known. It operates as an aggressively territorial interloper, actively bullying other species away from prime food sources to hoard the energy needed for its own massive journey. At places like the 8 Hummingbirds Ranch, this feeding frenzy reaches incredible density. Dozens of human-maintained feeders create localized population spikes, supporting massive waves of migrating birds simultaneously. During these peak summer months, Utah functions as a high-metabolism biological engine, fueled by an intricate balance of wild alpine ecology and direct human intervention. Then, in September, the environment shifts again. Waning daylight and a sudden drop in flower availability trigger an ancient biological clock, forcing a mass exodus south. By October, the departure window closes completely. The mountains empty out, leaving behind only a few rare stragglers, alongside specific residents like the Costa's hummingbird, which sometimes stays year-round in the southern parts of the state. This macro-level data map tracks the final leg of the journey. The massive western populations funnel out of the Rocky Mountains, pushing steadily downward into Central America and Mexico. They trade the freezing, rocky departure points of Utah for warm, resource-rich coastal environments like the Baja Peninsula, where they wait out the winter. When you watch a hummingbird drink from a sugar water feeder on your porch, you are witnessing a vital link in this massive chain. Every backyard feeder acts as a critical, life-saving node, sustaining an invisible superhighway that stretches across the entire Western Hemisphere.